this week, there's a lot of things happening. You realize, of course, that what's going to happen tomorrow, right?
Yeah, I'm going in for my, oh, that's right, it's my pre-surgical.
Pre-surgical visit.
Yes, for next Friday.
Next Friday. Eek. Your FFS is coming up soon, sis.
Yes, I know. I'm excited at the same time nervous.
Yeah, I know. But we're
So-
going to take good care of you.
Yeah, I mean, I told them they're going in tomorrow, they're going to switch off my nerves, turn them off completely.
Yeah. And AG said he's doing the surgery.
Oh, God! That's not going to work.
Hi, YouTube, Facebook, and GenderBlenders viewers. This is week 171.
Wow. That's a lot of weeks.
That's a lot of weeks, isn't it?
And we're going to do week 172 next week.
Yep.
And then that's going to be it for a while.
Yeah, and then we'll be off for a while.
Yeah. And after it's all over and said and done, I might post a couple pictures and stuff up of beginnings of FFS. But while I'm suffering, we're not going to be doing it.
So the question of the week is, was there anything that held you back from transitioning?
Wow. I guess we had a couple of things I could go through. And
Interesting story.
long one. Yeah, but okay, I'll tell you what, why don't you go ahead and go through yours, and then I'll follow and go through mine.
Okay, that sounds good. I did not recognize that I was transsexual for much of my life. So, in fact, for much of my life, I knew there was something wrong. But I could never quite identify it. So I didn't feel that I could fit in with myself. Just couldn't put a finger on that information which I finally later absorbed. So I'm going to discuss events which occurred only after I understood that I was transsexual, and that led me into my transition. So we'll cover that. Initially, I admit I was scared, people. I was scared. My son was in college, and I kept thinking to myself, how am I going to tell him? And what's his reaction going to be? As a Catholic, what were the religious ramifications going to be? My brother was a priest, and he was dying of cancer at the time.
Yes.
But could I ask him? Could I ask my local priest? What was his response going to be? What was the local priest's response going to be? Was I going to be accepted at work? Would I be accepted by friends and family? All of those questions, kind of things. They might have hindered my transition. So let's talk about some of those. My son. I started laying down hints to him when he was in college. And then finally, I came out to him. And his response was, he was very understanding. He was shocked. He was very shocked initially. But he got over it real quick. Because you know what? To him, it explained a lot of my behavior over the years. I had acted a lot more like a mother than a father to him.
Yeah.
And so it made him, feel a little bit more understanding, or understood a little bit more about what I was going through. If he had not accepted me, I had to still go through my transition.
Because you thought there was a need.
There was
You
a
had
need.
the need,
There's no getting around that need.
Yeah. No.
So my Christianity. I did a lot of praying for guidance. Christ would not have rejected me at all. He wouldn't have rejected any of us. But I did talk to my brother. He was still alive, but just barely at that time.
Yeah.
He gave me a lot of good advice, and he did accept me. I wrote a long letter to our local pastor explaining what I was going through and explaining what was happening.
Right.
And I was accepted by him. Actually, his response was, "So what?" Still, had I not been accepted by my local priest, I knew that Christ was behind me, so I would have still continued my transition.
Yeah.
Work is a story in itself. There's little bits and pieces of this throughout our videos, because there's a lot of interesting things happen at work. However, when I came out to my boss, he was very understanding. He was the company owner. He's still very supportive of me.
Mm-hmm.
So I had almost no problems with transitioning at work. But you know what? If he was not understanding as he is,
Yeah.
I still had to transition. I may have had to find another job,
Mm-hmm.
but I still would have made that transition. It would not have delayed me. It could not stop.
Yeah, well, you've always been that way ever since I've known you. Once she makes her mind up, that's it. It's happening.
Yeah, that's kind of me.
Yes.
Family, sad to say, some of our sisters
Mm-hmm.
really did not accept me, and they still don't. Some did. That was a fear. It really was. But I needed to transition. And then this message, dear sis, came out of nowhere. And I found my dear sister, Stephanie.
Mm-hmm.
At the time, we were not really aware of each other that much at all.
Well. Yeah.
But we were, for some reason, for some inexplicable reason, we were drawn together
Mm-hmm.
and drawn towards each other without any explanation ever being given.
Yeah. I don't think we ever questioned that. I mean, there was some
No, we
question
didn't.
at first, and because it was like a shock at first, and then we
Yeah.
found out and realized, oh my gosh, this is real.
Yeah.
I actually have a sister, and she is saying, "Come to live with me." And I'm like, oh, is this really happening? So I was questioning myself, is this actually happening? But then when it came to realization, oh my gosh, it is. Yeah, I understand that.
Yeah.
Believe me, without question, came to me the same way.
Yeah. That's
it was a shock.
quite amazing in its own right.
Yeah.
Friends, I lost only a couple friends. Most of my friends really accepted me for exactly who I was.
Yeah.
Didn't question it. They're very supportive of it. So,
Yeah.
But you know what? Again, that would not have been a hindrance.
Mm-hmm.
I had to do it.
Right.
Just had to do it. I would somehow overcome my fears of rejection in any event.
Yeah.
But one last issue, before I made my transition, I had suffered from some heart issues.
Mm-hmm.
And that could have been a hindrance.
Mm-hmm.
Could have been a hindrance a lot. But, when I started on my HRT, started through my transition,
Right.
all of those issues evaporated.
Mm-hmm.
They just went away. And so my health actually improved a lot.
Mm-hmm.
However, before I was allowed to get my gender corrective surgery, in Thailand, I had to take a treadmill test and an echo test
Mm-hmm.
before they'd do the surgery. I passed those, of course, with flying colors. I had, no
Right.
troubles with that.
Yes.
I consider myself lucky because I've had very little that's hindered me in my transition at all.
Yes. Yeah.
So what's your story, sis?
Well, mine's a little bit different because I did have a lot that actually hindered my transition from the time that I wanted to transition to the time that I actually did. Of course, when I was younger, obviously I knew who I was, and then, there were all the times and stuff like that when I knew that I was a girl, and I just couldn't take it any longer. That I actually tried, to commit suicide a couple of times. Once was at 16, one was at 18, and the other one was when I was 21.
Yeah,
And I just didn't want to go. And then I got bought my house, and I thought, now I'll be able to go ahead and transition. But things didn't happen that way because the job I was doing and everything else. I was in a divorce because the marriage were not working out, and I ended up getting custody of the kids. And then I was told I couldn't transition or the kids would have been taken back away from me. So
yeah, wonderful Ohio would be.
Yeah, so that didn't work, and then I had an actual entity that was actually stopping me from transitioning in 1991. And in fact, I was told I couldn't until they were of age. So at that point in time, that once again found myself putting it off again. So then it just kept on going until finally my body decided I had to transition.
Yep.
I had been planning on transitioning with my father, but he passed away in the process of us being in preparation in the letter that I was going to be turning in and submitting to my family, including my own brothers and sisters, the other brothers and sisters in Ohio. And that didn't work out, so I ended up, almost dying on a table and having to get transition. And once I found that out and my body already made that choice, there was no argument there.
Yep.
So I just, started my transition the very next day when I came home from transitioning, or from the clinic. I just got rid of everything, and that was the start of my transition. I was 100% full-time girl. There was no questions about that. You never even needed to get a therapeutic, letter as far as transitioning was concerned, because I had the documentation from the hospital that it was a make or break deal with my life. And so I went and found a trans specialist and told him what had happened and explained to him, and walked out that very same day with not only a letter from him but also with my medication. So there are numerous things throughout my life which hindered my transition from the time I actually intended on going ahead and starting once I figured out that I could. I even lost a church that I was participating in, as sound lighting director, video director, and everything else that literally turned me down. Said I could no longer go there. So we had all kinds of issues like that, and I too worried about I didn't stop me from transitioning, but all my worries that I had thought about even prior to having made my decision, in fact, did come true, because I lost, as you did. We lost I lost my brothers, and we lost my sisters that haven't accepted us. It's got to be unconditional, because it's like you say. It's not universal. It's a binary. Transition is binary, and acceptance is the same way. It has to be binary. You can't, and it can't be
There's
unilateral.
no shades of gray in there.
No. It is something where hey, would you want me dead or would you want me alive? And that was the scenario. And so accepting is something that you can't play around with, because whether you accept me or not, I'm still going to be me. Just like I would never ask them to be somebody else, because they couldn't. Well, they expected me to do something that they can't do themselves.
Right.
So so there were all kinds of things to think about, and there were concerns, but they didn't stop my transition. There was nothing that could have stopped my transition. Except for the fact that I loved my children and did not want them taken away from me. So I had to waylay that. So that was the one exception and delay in transitioning. In transitioning, whether I had the corrective surgery or not, I was becoming me, and that was important. And that's when I started making videos, and that's how Stephanie and I got hold of each other. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. No, because that is my story. So, but anyway, that's been nice, and I hope we answered the question. And please leave us comments, suggestions, and subscribe here to our channels, to our videos. We would appreciate it. Love to hear from you, what your plans and stuff are, and what happened with you regarding your transition, because it's always fun to hear each other's stories, because I'm sure we all have different ones to share with one another.
Absolutely.
So, my name is Stephanie.
I'm Steffi.
Good night and bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.